Hey everybody, you're listening to The Take, and once again joined by my good friend and legend in this area, Dave Keylon. Dave, welcome back.
Legend for what? I don't know, but we're still working the kinks out on that. But good to be back.
That's what you paid me to say, dude, so that's what I said.
Glad the check made it. Good job.
So we thank everyone for listening and downloading, as always. And, doing this show, we're just talking some sports, but it's mainly just some of the weird stories that we find on the internet and maybe that even happen in our own lives. So that's what we're doing here. And, high school football is coming up. We'll talk a little bit about that. And, of course, General's about to start up, so it's always going to be a topic of conversation. But first, just some of the quick hits on the sports stories from this weekend. Casey Kane, he ends his winless streak. And, Dave, I don't know what that was at. It was like 100-something races or something crazy like that?
Sure. So long it's been a while. Good for him. Glad he was able to do that. I think if anybody was needing a win in the Hendrick Racing organization, it might be Casey Kane. So good job on that.
Jordan Spieth starts off strong at the Open. For us Americans, it's the British Open. He ends up the eventual winner, and from what I understand, now, I didn't see much of it, but quite the classic during the Open.
I think I kind of went a lot this weekend and didn't watch a lot of it. Kind of kept up with it from distance. I did tune in and watch the final round. Good push by Jordan through about 14 to 17. He had a big-time eagle putt. He and Matt Kuchar were neck and neck coming down the back nine and got into 14. And Spieth came up with a big-time eagle on, I guess it was 15, 16, one of those holes to take a two-stroke lead. Then, of course, Kuchar hit the birdie putt to get within one. But really just he went lights out within the last four holes and played really well to secure a major. Only lacks the PGA Championship to win the career Grand Slam. Could be the youngest player in history to do that if he is able to capture the PGA Championship coming up. That's the last one on last major of the year for the PGA Tour.
But I don't really consider that the Slam. I mean, the Slam to me is the Tiger Slam. All those.
Well, career Grand Slam. That's what they're saying. Winning all four major championships. He could win all four major championships at the age of 23. Tiger was the youngest to do it at 24. So.
And he's still the greatest. I don't care what any y'all
say.
I
will say talent-wise, yes. Tiger, overall career-wise, yes. Currently, no.
Yeah, when he's down with a back and whatever else he's got going on, yeah, he's not good right now, and so that's where he's at. Also, Kyrie Irving made news last week. He apparently asked for a trade and doesn't want to be little brother to LeBron anymore. And he came out with his four teams that he would accept a trade to, that being the Heat, that being the Knicks, the Spurs, and the Timberwolves.
The Warriors? The Warriors? Why not the Warriors? Why not just throw them out there?
Why would you throw sheep?
Why would you throw a dumpster fire like the Knicks in there whenever Golden State's out there? If you're going to win a championship, follow the money, brother.
Well, here's the funny thing. He didn't say anything about a championship. He said he wanted to be more of a focal point.
Oh, so it's about you now. Never mind.
He already has the ring.
I understand. Go ahead.
He's already got the ring, so yeah. Why not get that money, bro?
Yeah, he might as well.
At least with the Spurs, he'd have a shot because, they always seem to be in the mix. Now, with adding Kyrie Irving to the Spurs, is that all they need? No, they're going to need a lot more, but at least they would be a lot better with him on their roster.
If he just hangs out in Cleveland here for another couple of years, I think LeBron's going to get tired of the front office, and he'll go somewhere else.
Lakers. That's what the old cowboy here is hoping anyway.
Yeah, just bide your time, Kyrie. I think change is coming.
So there you just some quick sports news. And, the big one from last week. How could we forget this one? Ole Miss, Hugh Freeze, no longer a couple, and just the whole story really came
from out of nowhere. I mean, that was pretty shocking.
I saw a tweet from Pat Ford, actually, and he was saying, stay tuned, some incredible news coming up, or some, I forget how he worded it, but he kind of put it out there, and guess what? The following morning, you hear the news of Hugh Freeze resigning and all the details about his resignation and why he resigned, and wow, I mean, what can you say? It's college football, so nothing ever really shocks me, but that sure did surprise me.
I think, and I've seen a lot of things over the past week, since all this has gone down, and it was something that we actually talked about here last week. What does Ole Miss do with Hugh Freeze and all this stuff? Well, I think they pretty much answered our question this week. It just got to the point that everything started getting worse and worse. It was just like every layer that they peeled back from this onion got worse and worse and worse, to the point that it's like, you know what, we've got to do something. We got to get rid of him. But it's so. I think from the standpoint is, I actually feel bad for Hugh Freeze that this went down. I know a lot of people say, well, he was a coach, he did all this stuff. How dumb do you have to be to do all this? But look, when you look at the program at Ole Miss, really, honestly, what has that program done over just in history, period? I mean, I'm sure that, yes, they've won SEC championships. They've had some great players come through there. But when you look at the run of success that Hugh Freeze had in modern day times, what has Ole Miss done? What have they done to get to that point? I think he took that program to another level, and he had to do that with some kind of competitive edge. And I think now we're starting to find out what that competitive edge was.
Well, yeah, when you had that recruiting class with Kimdichie, Treadwell, just a bunch of 5-stars, and that really 5-stars, they might have one, but I mean, not numerous 5-stars in the recruiting class, and that just really took everyone by surprise. And red flags went up then, but it took a little while to really not necessarily investigate, but for everything to come to light. And I guess we see now where those phone calls associated with recruits. It'd be really hard to prove that, but I guarantee that's what a lot of people are thinking.
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, again, I don't feel that Hugh Freeze is a bad person. I really don't. I think that the pressures of the job, I mean, this guy is just trying to find that extra little step, that little whatever to help him get that advantage. I mean, every coach is trying to do that. Every coach, if you're not in the state of Louisiana, Florida, California, Texas, it's hard to recruit, and you've got to find something that's going to draw them to Oxford, Mississippi to want to play football. Again, winning does a lot of that. I'm telling you, I've been to Tuscaloosa, Alabama. It's a beautiful campus, but there's nothing there besides a football stadium and a college. So winning's obviously going to bring a lot of players to Alabama. That's what draws a lot of students to go to Alabama. But outside of that, you really got to do something to kind of boost you into that role of being a frontline player. And I think that's what Ole Miss was trying to do. I think they're gradually we're getting into that role. And, I don't think that – I think every college football program cheats. Hugh Freeze was just the one that got caught this week.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And so a coaching change, well, they've named the interim head coach, but I honestly don't expect him to be there, even though he's got some he's got a resume, but I expect him to continue to look. Now, if you were looking for a coach, and Tennessee's been through this numerous times here in recent years, you're looking for that stabilizing factor, especially with just everything that's happened to Ole Miss with the NCAA and now this. Who do you look at? I mean, I think Les Miles is someone that you should at least interview because he's, at least as far as we know, done things. He's been pretty successful, but at LSU, where your recruiting base is one of the best. So what could he do at Ole Miss as far as bringing in recruits and, what kind of coaching staff would he get?
I don't know if Les Miles is the answer. I mean, I really don't. You want to know honest opinion on Les Miles? I think Les Miles was probably the biggest underachiever in the SEC as far as that goes. Uh, you can say he won national championships. He backed into a national championship. Other than that, how successful has a Les Miles program been? He's never been able to recruit a quarterback. I don't know, what more you could say about a program under Les Miles. I don't know if he's the answer or not. There's a reason why Michigan was able to get Jim Harbaugh over Les Miles, simply because he was the better coach. And I don't know. I just don't know if Les Miles is the answer.
I understand what you're saying, but I'm looking at it this way. I'm not talking about the best X's and O's coach. I'm looking more at the stabilizing issue. Someone that can come in and at least make things, calm the waters a little bit for 2 or 3 years, and then you can go from there. If he is not working out, then you look for another coach. But, through all these penalties and just through all the controversy, someone that can come in and, I've said it numerous times, stabilize it.
Who's to say that Matt Luke couldn't stabilize a program like that, though? He hasn't been a head coach. Everybody tends to point to the Arkansas thing for 1 year under John L. Smith, but I don't know if you realize this. John L. Smith was a raving lunatic. So there's nothing stable about a program under John L. Smith. That program may have been kind of teetering on the rails before Petrino left anyway. And then you throw John L. Smith in, and it just kind of turns to a dumpster fire. Now, Bielema was having to, kind of rebuild those pieces for, it's – I don't want to get political on this show, but I think we looked at John L. Smith. That was kind of a foresight of what a Trump administration looks like. So, you can take that how you want. So
okay, so a little political commentary by Dave here.
If you want to compare it to a presidential administration, I think we're living that right now. Presidential administration. It's what a John L. Smith coaching staff looks like.
All right, so it'll be interesting to see what happens this year with Ole Miss. You would expect them not to be very successful. Even they've got some talent on the team, but man, just too much to battle through, and not including the Alabamas of the world and all the other big dogs in the SEC West.
I will say this about Ole Miss, though. Why not maybe just do this? Just kind of sit back, let Luke handle this team, see what the NCAA comes back with, then go after your coach. Or if you want to have, you bring Les Miles in while you're sitting there under NCAA investigations, and then he's got something to blame that on. Let him build it there, see what he can do. I don't know how you handle that, but it'll be interesting to see what they do.
All right, so there's just a quick hit on some of the sports stories that went down here recently in the last week or so. But, I've seen previews for this, and it seemed pretty silly on the surface, and you'll get it when I get to it. Michael Phelps racing a shark. So, did you see any of this? Because it seemed awfully dumb when I first saw it.
No, I did not see it because that was competing with Game of Thrones, and I think Hacksaw Ridge was on tonight too, so I ended up watching that. So, and down goes Michael Phelps. He lost to the shark. He didn't get eaten though. He did actually just lose to a shark.
And what you're telling me, there was no great white involved. It was just like a simulation.
I think there was an actual great white swimming in open water, and they tracked it for like 100 meters, and then they went back and let Michael Phelps. I did not see this, but this is just kind of the thing that Shark Week tweeted out earlier. Video. It looked like they had Michael Phelps do an open water swim for 100 meters, and apparent race took place in South Africa, and but they actually had the race, and Michael Phelps lost by 2 seconds.
Well, if you want to make it interesting, here's what you do. You put them both in the water at the same time, tie a bag of chum to Michael Phelps, and then let's see what happens.
I guarantee his times are going to be lower if that was the actual case, because I'm pretty sure if a great white is actually swimming behind you, you're going to find an extra gear. And I would say his times may be a little lower over 100 meters. I mean, that's just a guess. I would seem to think if you're swimming for your life, you tend to swim a little faster.
Yeah, you don't have to. Okay, maybe it was going a little far by tying a bag of chum to him, but at least give him a few paper cuts, so at least there's some blood in the water.
just kind of get a little bit of blood in the water there. So,
and some other wacky stories. You had one from Florida, and it doesn't matter. You remember, and I think this was last week as well. That old guy in Florida, he was mad because the AT&T people or whoever it was in front of his driveway, in front of his house in his service. So he just took out a revolver, came out, and shot out all the tires.
All the great stories happen in Florida. Let's just start with that. This one actually was from Saturday, July 21st. A Florida man, or a Florida family, as you would expect, was jolted awake in the wee hours Saturday morning, startled to find 15 pounds of frozen meat had crashed onto their roof. It was like thunder, and it awakened me out of my sleep, said Travis Adair. He told WPLG. When family members went outside to investigate, they found 2 packages of frozen Italian pork sausage in the side yard of their Deerfield Beach home and 3 more on the roof. Adair told Associated Press that meat sacks had fallen from above since they were too heavy to have. They had to have fallen from up above as they were too heavy to have been thrown onto the roof from the ground. His wife Jenny speculated the meat fell from a plane and may have been related to a drug deal. So I don't know, how does Italian sausage relate to a drug deal? Anyway,
now are we sure that's not one of those Joe Dirt things falling from the sky?
A big old steaming pile of poopy. No, it's not. I think this is actual Italian sausage. But it says the packages were marked Williams Land Service, a land management company in Alabama, but the company had no answers. Son Austin Adair told WPLG he called the company, and the person he spoke with had no clue what he was talking about and probably thought I was crazy. And they spoke with they said they actually went on Jimmy Kimmel Live on Wednesday night to discuss the meat. Kimmel's team did some sleuthing on their own. They contacted another company printed on the meat label, Fussel's Meats, in Arcadia, Florida. They spoke to the owner of Fussel's Meat. His name was also Jimmy. He personally packaged the meat back in January for a guy named Jimbo Williams, who is the owner of Williams Land Service. The team then spoke to Jimbo Williams, who apparently remembers picking the meat up from Fussell 6 months ago, but has no idea how it got on the roof. So there's a mystery brewing in Deerfield Beach, Florida. Where did the sacks of Italian sausage come from that landed on this family's house? I think that'd be kind of weird. What would you do, Joe, if you woke up and you heard something hitting the top of the house and walk outside to find sausage crashing onto your roof?
Well, I would think Santa came.
That's what I'm thinking. I wonder if Santa could throw us some deer chili next week or something.
How did Santa know?
Yeah, yeah. That's what you tell your kids. Kids, Santa's real. I don't care what they tell you. He drops 15 pounds of sausage. I asked for that. So, why not?
All right, thanks everyone for tuning in. You've been listening to The Take. Make sure you download and enjoy. For Dave Keylon, I'm the Cowboy. Join us again next week.